If you automate a bad process, you will simply get bad results. Treasury is very interesting. You meet liquidity, risk, financing, and you are involved in the day-to-day operations of the company. For me, a company is its people. You can have everything automated, but it all comes down to the people.
Marianna Polykrati is the Group Treasurer at AVRAMAR and co-founder and managing partner at Tetraktys Treasury. She specializes in corporate treasury and M&A integration, helping organizations build and lead treasury functions.
We will solve the quantitative issue, but we will need to be working on the qualitative. They will bring you the trend, but you need to understand why this trend is happening.
Do you think at some point we won't need to buy treasury systems at all anymore and we can just tailor build everything from scratch for our company?
I still believe that it won't replace it. Maybe it will help them in.
All right, welcome Marianna to Treasury Leaders. Glad to have you with us today. Marianna, I know you as a person that's been working in Treasury for a very long time, very eager to work on automating Treasury processes, but also as someone who has a very holistic view on different types of topic within the organization. You're also very much a people person. Can you tell us, with all of these skills, how did you end up in Treasury specifically in your career?
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for inviting me, first of all. I mean, it's very interesting and challenging to have the opportunity to talk about Treasury, which has become one of my passions right now. And automation, I think, is starting to become my second passion here and my second nature. So I really didn't initially plan to become a treasurer, right? I started at a period when everyone was joining banks, bank institutions. So I started my journey from starting in the banking sector. Then I switched a bit, going to venture capital. And for some reason, fate brought me to the Treasury Department, a corporate Treasury Department, where I started, I think, in a couple of years ago. Okay, I would say 2006, and I have remained till today. Look, Treasury is very interesting, right? It sits, I believe, in a very interesting intersection of the company. You have the opportunity to be strategic. You meet reality. You meet liquidity, risk, financing, and you are involved in the day-to-day operations of the company. It's incredible when you go and you visit the factories, you talk about with all the different departments. And for me, this has happened in the three companies that I've worked as a treasurer, both in Chipita, in Vivartia, in AVRAMAR as well, right? So it is an ongoing status. It's never static, right? And you always are faced with something different, right? And I think the all geopolitical and macroeconomic environment gives you always new things and new challenges to handle. So I guess this is pretty much what I consider about Treasury, right?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. And I think how I know you, you're very much also a people person and like to connect different people with one another. For example, working across different business silos. How important do you see people skills in Treasury? Because I think we're reading a lot in the news that some companies are, replacing people by bots or AIs. But how do you see the importance of people within an organization?
For me, a company is its people, right? I mean, you can have the best product of the world, you can have everything automated, you can have a great structure, but it all comes down to the people. So for me, it is on the top of my list, right? So, and Treasury, as I said previously, it's a very cross-functional role. You're not stuck into numbers or, one person that you have to talk with in your department. You talk with accounting, you talk with IT, you talk with operations, banks, auditors, shareholders, stakeholders. You can do this all in the same week or even the same day. So you need to also have a skill to adapt your communication and your skills to talk with different people that are expecting different things in a different manner. So for me, I believe communication is one of the top skills that we need. Now, I know what you're talking about, automation and technological knowledge, but I will tell you, it's something that you can learn. If you have become a treasurer, and if you have become a treasurer in Greece, where we have touched a very difficult, prolonged liquidity crisis period, and you have become quite resilient, changing and trying to adapt into the new systems is something that you can do. I mean, you just need to focus a bit and you can do. So we need to give to our teams all the chances in order to educate themselves, regardless of their age, either if they're 24 or 34 or 54, right? Everyone can learn and everyone can adapt to the new technological solutions. Treasury is quite lean. the treasury structures. We don't have departments with 20, 30 people. So usually we are running around, and from the 10 things that we have to do per day, we do only 4, 5. So for us, technology and bringing automation will help us do and handle the remaining 6, 7 that we haven't tackled yet. So for us, I believe it's going to be a very good tool in order to use and bring us a bit more, how can I say the word, knowledge of what we need to fix in our company.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think, well, what we've seen and we have worked together in the past is that robotic process automation, or RPA, has been quite a hot topic within corporate treasury for many years. And now we're seeing a shift towards AI-powered automations.
Correct.
How do you see automation in corporate treasury? Do you think we can automate, to what extent do you think we can automate treasury processes? And will there be humans needed at all times to still look at the final result? Or to what extent can we go, do you think?
Look, we have worked together, and we have known each other quite a while. And you see that in general, I like to experiment a lot and be a guinea pig a bit and trying to see what we can do in automation technology. I believe that we will change the thinking, right? As I say, because we're cross-functional, we do see and we adapt quite easily to the mindsets of different people. So having a tool like automation or robotics to help us in their manual processes where no actual qualitative analysis is requested and it's like much more quantitative, it will only help us be much more efficient in our roles. So I don't anticipate that we will have any issues in this. But I want to tell you a nice story that I heard the previous day of a CFO of a very big group here in Greece. He was trying to set up his department and set up the treasury department. So he was looking for a treasury officer. So I looked at him and I tell him, what are you looking for, right? And he told me, look, I have 5 very nice CVs, but these 2 are very traditional treasurers. These 2 are quite modern. I say, what do you mean these are traditional, these are modern? No, these guys are going to come and they're going to automate everything. Okay? And I say, what do you mean they're going to automate? I say, I want them to push a button and have everything coming out from the system. And I say, okay, and how is your data? Remember, this is something. So how are your processes? How is accounting operating? How are operations operating? And I found out that his accounting was not in a very good condition, right? He said, oh, they're mixed up with a lot of paperwork. So how are you going to automate the next step? So I would say, for me, I am very much in favor in automating all the manual processes. Okay, but then like parts like cash flow forecasting, I believe these are the things that I would really love to keep still for myself. I can have maybe trends coming out from AI, right? Or historical data from our ERP, but you still need to put your mind in and give some results and trends, right? Because you can have trends. Treasury, we are never flat in our work, right? We're not completely standardized. You have on a weekly basis, you have something extraordinary happening, right? So you have to be able to change this and make the variation in your cash flow forecast, which a machine will not be able to do at the end of the day.
Yeah. So if I hear you correctly and your nice story, I think we can say that there might sometimes still be a mismatch between, what some CFOs or other business leaders expect to be able to be possible in automation when it comes to corporate treasury versus the reality. Because indeed, even automation tools such as AI, robots, they have to work with the data that's there. But to really make sense of the data, that's still up to the humans so far, and to be able to handle it in the right way.
If you have bad processes and you automate a bad process, what you will have, simply you will have bad results faster, right? You will just have the same results, the bad results, but you will have them faster. And it will give you maybe a confidence that they might be correct. So this is not right.
Yeah, I've noticed this firsthand because we're automating a lot and we're also using AI in the process. But if you just let AI loose and just let it do its thing with its own interpretation, there's quite some risks involved there. Because especially working with different data sets on how to combine the data and looking at the specific details, that is something where I see AI struggling with still a lot. So I very much agree with your statement that, for the coming years, I think we need people in Treasury looking at, what are the steps produced by any automation and seeing, are they indeed correct? Yeah, so Looking towards the available systems on the market, I think there's a lot of treasury management systems that can automate a lot of work for corporate treasury teams. But do you think we always need such a treasury management system from a specific company size, or can we solve certain treasury processes or the automation thereof in a different way? What is your experience there?
Look, I have 2 points here, okay? First of all, I completely agree with you that starting up a and setting up a treasury management system is not always the optimum for every single company that has a treasury. You have to go back, you have to drill down, you need to do a mapping, okay? An architecture design, a blueprint of what your treasury does today, how you can improve this, check all the processes that you have, check all your data, and see and find out exactly what you're targeting for. Okay, so there are cases that you can find a solution in a simple RPA or a BI report, or working, automating a little bit and standardizing your Excel file and building maybe an agentic AI that will help you, make a very small cash flow forecast, etc., or whatever else you want to need. So it could be something very simple for you as a solution. Or you can have a quite complex organization and you need to have a platform visibility, you have hedging, you have a lot of derivatives, say in commodities, in interest rates, in FX. So you have you have debt, where you have different types of debt. So you have a huge structure, and in this case, yes, of course, a TMS would assist in having a structure correct, and you can have exactly what you want at the time that you want. But it's not always a matter of this. For me, I believe it's very important that treasurers really understand this. And we're working a lot in Greece upon this, right? So we're doing small round tables in order to understand what are the needs exactly that we have. Okay. And the second point that I wanted to touch here is that, and this is a comment that I received from some fellow Greek treasurers here, is that there are too many service providers out now in the market providing solutions, right? And they're tackling and etc. So we kind of, corporate treasury, we want to see everything, and I think we lose our focus. So we need to find exactly what we want to do in the organization, map it, do the blueprint, and then go to the service providers that can help you. You can have a TMS, you can have a TMS Lite, or you can work with a consultant to make a much more tailor-made automation program for you. I think for me, in AVRAMAR, we're looking at the third solution a bit right now. So we are investigating this, as we are in a very transitional stage right now, and we're going to make a lot of corporate transformation. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and automate more what our daily processes are, and then we're going to start looking at different solutions.
That sounds great. And I know you have been, very active on this and really looking at, okay, what can we do with the tools that are out there, also when it comes to connectivity. And you have been, pioneering. I know you were among the first users to really use some of these premium APIs, which are offered by banks to corporates. What are your experiences there, like learnings? What have you seen? What works well in implementing an API and what doesn't work so well?
Look, in the beginning, I think it was a year ago, I joined AVRAMAR 3 years ago. The first thing was in order to structure the department, how we work. Second is build all the processes. Third year was to clear all the data and bring the connectivity for my cash visibility. Yes, we started with APIs. We had a very nice company that was helped us with all the APIs and setting it up. I don't know if I can sell it, but anyway. So we set it up. It was a long-term project because we were learning, and the Greek bank that we set it up also learned. And they were the most I would say they were the much more modern bank that are using this, and technologically they are the most advanced, I believe. It took us quite a while to do it, right? So we did it, we have it. We are still working with the Excel files for this, but we now retrieve all the data that we want from IAPIS. We have all the analysis that we want, and then what we do is we put it in our Excel files for the visibility. The next step was to go through RPA process. Remember, we have talked about the robotics previously, but AI is catching up. So maybe we need to see if we go through an RPA or if we go directly with an agent AI hub building us and helping us with this data. So we delayed, it took a time for us, but my team is quite comfortable. I mean, almost every single one of my team knows how to work with the APIs. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, that's, I think, a great case study of what works and what doesn't work when integrating an API. Sometimes, the bank offers an API, but it's not really ready for production use. And but banks are getting there, at least more and more banks, from what we see from our own experiences. And I think, as you mentioned...
And that is correct. There are, I think the other 3 banks are joining as well. I do have a question, though, maybe I will put it like a question I reply, is that some TMS providers, they don't want to use APIs, which this is something I don't understand why. Because they say they are still quite disruptive and they don't operate and function at 100%. So this is one of the things that I'm trying to understand and challenge right now and say, yes, no, we have something that is much better. Why cannot we utilize this one? Okay.
Yeah, so what we see from our clients, like, it's not always very desirable. It sounds a bit counterintuitive, but to get near real-time information, because you also need to run all your processes within your treasury management system to refresh the data, reconcile it, etc. So therefore some businesses prefer to have only the end-of-day statements to run their TMS processes. But I think, there's a lot of value in at least having the real-time visibility of how much cash do you have available at this moment and not yesterday, end of day. So I do think slowly but surely different system will catch up. But the adoption of APIs is indeed not as fast as, we all hoped it to be. Because in the end, who doesn't like to know how much cash they have today exactly at this moment within their company? Yeah, so indeed. And you mentioned also, indeed, RPA is slowly getting replaced by AI-powered tools. You have Cloud Code, Codex, which basically allows you to, in a relatively short time, build a tailored automation that specifically works for your company. How do you see this evolving? Do you think at some point we won't need to buy treasury systems at all anymore and we can just tailor build everything from scratch for our company? Or is there always room for these solutions which have already figured it all out and we can just deploy as turnkey solutions?
I will ask you this question. Do you think that AI will replace ERP systems?
I don't think anytime soon. It's still a very solid kind of system, which, I'm doing a lot of AI coding for innovation and for fun as well. What we can sometimes notice is that the AI still makes mistakes. It can, without you asking, it can delete data, it can go off the path, you have asked it to. And when it comes to vital data, such as ERP data, you don't want an AI directly interacting with that.
So I would say, Ian, the same for the TMS, because you have very data that you need them to be accurate. So for companies that use TMS that are big and large and complex, I still believe that it won't replace it. Maybe it will help them in some judgment calls or retrieving specific and analyzing the data, right? Or making comparisons. I would say maybe when you have, let me see things out. When you have debt, right? And you have the term sheets and you negotiate with the bank, right? And you have already negotiated with a couple of banks and you have a standardized form of a loan. What you can do, you can use your agent hub and then you can say, look, these are the terms and these are the last 10 term sheets that we have received and these are the new ones. So let's see what are the differences and we can fix this. So I still believe that it won't replace regarding 100% the data, but it will help us improve a lot of things. What I am confused right now is that reading a lot, is I get confused with the LLMs like Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT, what is good for what? So because I see some are testing, say, one machine, the other, and every day someone says, I have this and these are very good for treasury, but this machine is not good for treasury. What I have tested is in general, it's like when you ask a question and you give a prompt, it has to be the best, I think, the first time. Because if it doesn't catch it the first time, then when you rearrange and you make the question again, it starts tweaking and making different assumptions. So it still learns. And you are better, I think, in which is the best machine. I think you have a better view, but we will discuss this, I think, separately.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. And different LLMs are, more performant for specific tasks. But I think what I found to be working in corporate treasury is to really develop an agent around it that knows, okay, your data as a treasury team lives here, and this how I should interpret it. And when you just feeding data randomly into an LLM, it won't have the proper context. But using an agent framework around it, you can really teach it how to interact with your data, and that can give good results. But I also acknowledge what you say. It's might work better to start relatively simple and just feeding it with some term sheets and some governance maybe, and to monitor that. That's
some forecasting assumptions, some liquidity simulations, anomalies in payments maybe, or a bit the risk, euro USD risk, some of these things, or hedging strategies compared, or the trades that you buy and sell your basic currency. I think some tests like this would be interesting. I think it has more interest in other functions of finance. I think like in accounts receivable. I believe that it can assist further in detecting from the historical the trend of a client. When a client is signals that it's not going to be paying right on time, or something that changes his paying habits, or when we have suppliers as well. So I think it can work a lot in finance, not only treasury.
Yeah. And when it comes to treasury, back to cash flow forecasting for a little bit. Suppose you were to have an AI system that within AVRAMAR would be able to categorize all your historical transactions, read all your known cash flows in the future, like items from the ERP, but also from other relevant systems which contain cash flow data, and it's able to analyze specific patterns in your historical cash flow. Would you say that it can be a useful tool if it understands fully your data to at least assist you with forecasting? Or do you think we are still a very long time away from that?
Look, I think it will be a good connector of data. I mean, it will be able to be pulling the correct data from the ERP, to have the correct data from the potential Excel file where you have, say, the CapEx planning, which is not in the ERP exactly. You can have also extraordinaries and trends that you have feedback from credit control, from commercial. So it can all connect all these data and put it in one. But then you need to be the qualitative part, because AI will do the technological exercise, right? You need then to start discussing with all the departments and collaborate the whole organization in order to revisit the numbers and check that they are okay and they are the proper ones, right? And then you need to start interpreting the numbers. This is the basic. We will solve the quantitative issue, but we will need to be working on the qualitative. They will bring you the trend, but you need to understand why this trend is happening. And the truth is that when you have a lot of extraordinary events, like we had the war in Ukraine, now we are having the Middle East right now, and it would be great to have a tool saying like, this is my initial budget. We expect the raise of the cost per barrel in oil. We expect an increase in raw materials. Let's see how this switches and do the liquidity forecasting with a distress scenario analysis, okay? So this would be something that it would have. Or a different one, like the markets say, no, it's high. We have the fish price, right? So the basic assumption is the high fish prices that we have during this period. What happens if there is a decrease of 10%? What happens if the dollar is impacted more and it starts devaluating? So these scenarios, I think it would be able, not AI as it is, but building again, as you said, an agent AI, which we are testing a bit this period. So building an agent AI to have this data in order to make a trend, and with the assumptions that you have, to build you a potential change in your cash flow and liquidity for the following 13 weeks. And maybe being able to, the 13 weeks that we have as treasurers, to go to 20 to 24 weeks and start opening up a bit the period that we have. Not more than 3 months, I would say, though.
Yeah, would you say longer than 3 months, it gets really unpredictable with all the...
With all the extraordinary.
Yeah.
There are many patterns that you cannot put in. Yes, you have the trend.
Yeah, indeed, it would be very interesting to see, and I think it will be quite different across different types of businesses, but how certain geopolitical events will or have affected your cash flow. And if you can derive those patterns, you get a better sense of the risks, I would say. So yeah, that's another great use case, I think, for applying AI or agents directly on your treasury data and correlating it to the real world events.
AI could help us with the data part, but the behavior patterns is something that we need to put in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what we interesting at the very least is that it basically forces us to think about our data structures within a company. Yeah? Like, how do we organize our data? How can we reuse our data across different applications? And that base layer I see is missing in a lot of companies. Luckily, it's now getting better. People are seeing the need for BI tooling, but also in the near future, like being able to use AI on your data in a good way. That requires to first get your data foundation right. So that's, I do see that as well. Marianna, if I may ask, like you have been working in Greece for many years as a treasurer across different companies. Also, you have been involved in the treasury community there and setting up different communities. Like, how do you see the Greek treasury community? Like, what is different in Greece than in other countries?
Well, look, as you say, I have worked many years here in Greece, right, in different functions, and basically treasury is the last. I don't want to count the years that I am treasury. What I have found out is that in general, we are a quite close community, right? So as we are, I think approximately today, I have counted LinkedIn data and some other data. The total treasurers here in Greece are approximately, I would say, 520, 530, including some roles as well with payments or some roles with treasury accounting as well. So we are, I would say, around 550, okay? We have a very good percentage between men and women. This is very interesting in Greece. Like we have 45% women, 55% men. Though women are less, as a percentage, it falls to 35 to 36% when you go to leadership positions. But we are quite close to each other and we don't feel competitive. We try to help and support and assist each other, right? So, and we have worked a lot the last, I think, 5-6 years for doing this, because what we understand is there is power and strength in unity, right? So when you have the banks, at the end of the day, we are all treasurers against banks regarding costs, regarding procedures, regarding processes. And when we have the same problem, instead of going by ourselves to the banks and me going as AVRAMAR, say to one of the big banks and say, hey guys, this KYC, we have to fix it. Or with the banking platform, it not works. When we go together, it's very easy to have a nice discussion because they see that it matters. Previous years, usually like the bankers, used to invite only the CFOs of the companies, right? Not leaving the treasurers to join. Now we have personal invites as treasurers and we go and we have a nice place on the table to discuss with the banks our problems and the issues. So this is opening up quite a lot. And I think we have worked really a lot on this. The second thing I believe in Greece is we do have a lot of companies that are family owned, which is usually a bit more conservative. Discussing about treasury wasn't one of the things. These companies are changing. The new generation is changing a lot. The mindset I attended yesterday a great session from one of the biggest flour mills here in Greece, and it was the 7th generation, I think. Imagine family owned, and he was so open. He was so modern and doing a lot of things and pushing a lot. So I believe even the family owned, when the new generation comes in, they are very open and they leave us a lot of room to do things. It's not a competition here in Greece because I believe in the past, there was also a small competition between CFOs, treasurers. Where is the limit? Where do we go? I think we have now found our roles within the organizations and we are considered to be an asset, I believe, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I do consider treasurers to be a big asset, actually. You mentioned the younger generation, and I know you like to also give along a lot of young people the opportunity within the teams you have set up to grow their career and invest in their skills. Like, why do you choose to invest so much in these young people and investing a lot of your time to make them flourish within the organization?
Look, I believe as people, we have always 2 ways we can do things. The one thing is whatever bothered us in our past, we continue to do it, or we can change it. So as I personally, and in my generation, didn't have so many opportunities to see things, to have exposures to different things, to be educated and give a big educational plan and be supported, I want to do it the other way. So I really want to support this. So what I have missed, and a lot of people in my generation have missed, I want to change it. I don't want to keep it as it is. So when I go, and the good thing is a lot of treasurers here in Greece that do it, whenever we go to meetings, we have our juniors with us coming, right? Because usually they were not given a seat at the table. So we bring them so they can see, they can shadow us. And it's interesting. And you know what? When you educate your people and you give them the opportunity to open up their skills, you learn at the end of the day. They become very helpful in assisting and helping and doing things that will improve the business. And you learn at the end of the day. So I don't want to have people that are the same mindset with me. I could do it by myself. I could be like an octopus, right? With 8 legs, running around and doing the same things. And I will do this, I will do that, etc. I need people that are different from me. I'm very fortunate, my team, we have a very diverse group, age-wise and skill-wise. Everyone brings his unique and her unique skills on the table. I play like a maestro. I'm trying to be the maestro and try a bit to, how can I say, bring them together and have the best result at the end of the day.
Yeah, and for people wanting to start a career in treasury, what would you see as the essential skills you need to have nowadays? The world is changing and fast, like new types of technologies coming out. What do you see as the essential skills? Like what can set you apart in corporate treasury to do really well? Is it mindset? Is it skills? Is it something else?
Always a combination, Jan. Always a combination. Sometimes it's talent, right? You have the talent, but even if you have talent and you don't work on your talent, it just becomes you are put aside at some point. So for sure it's skills. There are soft skills. I really believe in soft skills. We need to have people that are people and not machines, not robots. You need to find the skills that your team is quite good at or the young generation, and you need to push them towards that part. I mean, if you have a person that has a difficulty in focusing maybe on details, right? And he needs a nice variety of things he needs to be exploring continuously. This one could be someone that you can be putting always in solving cases, solving problems. Like you have with the bank a problem, give him this and you will find it interesting. But give him a next task, a new task, a new task. So you have to find the good things, the advantages of each member, and try and work on this. You cannot change a person, right? Technological skills, of course, will be number one. Okay, but even if I have a technological guru in my team, he will be technological. Then he will bring a data and he will bring me, say that I'm supposed to have an ending cash of 40 million, 50 million if you make a quick analysis, and I have minus 20 at the end. He won't even understand what he did, right? If he doesn't sit and see exactly what's happening. So technology, yes, but we need to be focused more in analyzing why things happen. So one of the things for sure, what helped me in my career is I was always challenging, but not challenging the decisions. I was challenging the reason. So when you have, say, mails coming in that this is not paid, this is not paid, this is not paid, and you know that you have cash, something else is wrong. So you have to start challenging and say, what is wrong in the whole process coming from the procurement, from sales, from accounting, from treasury? What has happened and something is not being done right? So this is something that's very challenging. And try and analyze all the steps and find where the root of the problem is. And don't be afraid to jump into projects that are not your responsibility. This is, for me, one of the most important things. When you start putting barriers, no, this is not mine, because this is my role, these are the limits, he will simply remain in a position, and yes, maybe AI at the end of the day will replace you. But when you start understanding the whole business and see how this part of the chain work with the other parts of the chain of the business, then you will be irreplaceable, I believe.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting statement. I think, so you're basically saying the treasurer shouldn't stop when they detect something. For example, days sales outstanding are quite high, yeah? Because where does the treasurer stop? Will it just be detecting it and say, hey, we need to improve this? And go through the whole organization to make sure that this number is improving.
Yeah, I think this. So basically, don't start by automation, right? Start by challenging, understanding the root, and use automation to help you do this better.
Yes, all right. Fully agree on that statement. And also what you said earlier, like it's not just making sure the data is correct, but also, and that requires a lot of human judgment to look at the numbers and really understand, hey, this is not good. And why did this happen? And there you well, you need to sometimes go beyond the data and really understand what is the business trying to do and what is going wrong here. And that's often that will not immediately surface from the data, but you need to really grasp the whole business, and then you can make sense of the numbers.
During my career, I will tell you, I have worked with many impressive entrepreneurs and that were quite genius. I still remember the day that I was working in a company. We had 60 countries that we were operating, and we were presenting the financial results. And there was a table with sales and the EBITDA of each country. And it was like a huge table, on a big screen. And the CEO of the company said, guys, the numbers that you have for Slovakia, so somewhere between 150 numbers, he said, the numbers that you have for Slovakia is not correct. This is not our profitability. And he wasn't looking at margins, analysis. The numbers just didn't feel right to what he knew for the business. And the truth was, he was correct. There were mistakes in the data, right? So this is impressive to be able to have the data more automated, not manual, because for us it was doing a lot of manual job to do this. And then come and just look at the numbers, say, this and this doesn't fit. It's not right. Let's find the reason why. Is it a mistake, or is it something that the business is not operating correct?
Yeah, I do see the need for that human eye of really making sense of the data. Yeah, so looking ahead, well, we always ask the treasurers that come into our podcast for one controversial or against the norm idea about treasury that they would be willing to share.
Controversial. Now, this is something I haven't thought about. I don't know. For me, it's so easygoing. It's not that I don't find anything controversial. And I think I will most probably say treasury is not numbers. I will go with this. And I will be driven by another cause. I enjoy having discussions, with people. You said they connect people, right? I would say that in one discussion, they said, Marianna, you are a number person. I mean, how are you such, engaged with people and human and teams and everything? I think treasury is not a number role, so I will be a bit different. It is a very communicative, and it has a lot of empathy, because at the end of the day, we know that cash is the basic priority of the company, and sometimes when you're not able to handle cash correctly, it might impact the lives of many people, not only yourself, the whole business ecosystem and environment that you have, suppliers, clients, banks, shareholders, stakeholders, employees, their families. So for me, that's the reason that it's not simple numbers. It is something that is vital for the organization. And that's why I really think of it quite differently, that it impacts a lot. So I am very careful in generally with the cash and try to do the best that we can do.
All right. Thank you for that statement. I think that brings us to the end of this interview. Marianna, thank you so much for being here with us today. And I hope to talk to you again soon on your vision of automation and treasury specifically.
As always, you are one of the people that I really enjoy talking about. And especially the people from my team as well. Christos is still waiting. I think he's going to be giving you a call.
Let's catch up. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.